Teenage girls face a lot of difficulties and need all the encouragement they can get. They also need coaching and criticism, but experts tell us that parents need to say 5 times as many positive things to balance each negative criticism, because criticism cuts so much more deeply than encouragement. Here's an idea, something you can do to make the positive things you have to say about your daughter 5 times stronger. Write them down. Do you remember the scene from the first Princess Diaries movie where the Anne Hathaway character was doubting herself and her identity? What was it that made her believe she actually was a princess? It was when she read it in her father's diary, ink on paper. That message was so powerful it lasted even after he died, and it gave her the courage she needed to become who she was meant to be. When my daughter Betsy was 13, one day somebody said something to her that caused her to doubt her identity. She was in tears, and I gave her a big hug and held her close and said, "Let me read something to you." Then I showed her this little book. I had been taking notes about her and keeping this little journal for her since she was a baby. Just writing little things from time to time that I didn't want to forget. Beautiful moments that we had shared, things that I noticed in her character that were clues to gifts that she had or who she might become, what she was good at, something that she discovered, or maybe something nice somebody else said about her or something clever she said herself. I just wrote these down with whatever pen I could find, sometimes not even in complete sentences. When I read this little book to her, and she saw herself through the eyes of love, it had a magical effect. It just helped her to see that she really had a lot to offer and that somebody saw lovely things in her. She started asking me to write in it more often, and she would check to see if I'd written anything new. One day she came home and was telling me about a friend who was struggling, and she said somebody ought to keep a journal for her. Then she looked at me and said, "Mom, you should tell other mothers to keep journals for their kids." So I've written this book, and in this book called Love Letters to a Child, I've just put down ideas on how you might adapt this sort of thing to work for you and your daughter or any children that you have. And it has practical ideas, some examples of what I've done, and also some chapters on creative ways to use a journal as a positive parenting tool. I hope you'll write even one letter to your daughter saying how much you love her and what good things you see in her. Let me know how she responds. You can find me at www.traceyfinck.com.